made one of these videos for a long time. It's because I'm too tired. Yeah, I'll have to have a look back and see when it was, because things have definitely changed since I did, and I've just got too tired. But I want to show you something. Look at all of this. Look. Can you see all those beautiful flowers? I don't know if you have them. They're called primroses. They're supposed to grow in like hedgerows, I think. I feel like they're kind of quintessentially English. They remind me of a book I used to read when I was a little girl called Brambley Hedge. I can't really remember. It's all about like little animals that lived in the hedgerow. Something about the primroses seems to trigger it for me. Yeah, it's not even 6 a.m. yet. You can hear all the birds. I woke up all sweaty and I couldn't sleep. I've been lying there for a while, and I don't know, everything's really hurting. My legs, I feel like I've run, like 12 miles or something, which in the olden days I would have been able to do. But yeah, I definitely haven't run 12 miles. Stomach's hurting. Yeah, just lay there for a bit and figured out that I probably wasn't going to go back to sleep. Look, there's that lovely van. See, yeah, I'm not sure when it is that I stopped coming on these walks, or I stopped losing the enthusiasm or something. I think the last walk that I did, but look. Hi. No. Like everything's changed, look. The season's changed. Although quite often these days, in the last decade, I guess things, or even more, things have changed and everything blooms, and then there's a big cold snap, and everything gets killed. But on we go. You know what I mean? It's nature, not linear. Yeah, so I just haven't had the energy, and I don't have the energy now, and I wasn't going to take my phone out either. But it touched me the other day when I was on the Zoom, and people were saying how much they'd appreciate the videos. So yeah, I figured I'd come out, and I wanted to actually see. I switched my phone on. I've started leaving. It's all this bullshit stuff, isn't it? That's like, this is what I did in withdrawal, to try and make things better, but it doesn't make it better. Hang on just a second. I need to do my shoelaces up. I want to find somewhere to prop you. Here you go. Let me look at my shoe. Let me do my shoelaces up, maybe if the angle's right. I don't know. Yeah, it's like all these things. Like, so I stopped taking my mobile phone into my room at night. Cell phone, as you guys call it. Yeah, I've stopped doing that. That's quite recent. Look at this beautiful blossom. Yeah, So, you know, trying to help myself go to sleep, which I guess it has. Although I still just feel tired all the time. So what does it matter? Yeah, I feel fucking weird. Oh, you know, is there anybody who's going to be watching this that doesn't feel fucking weird? Probably not. I guess, you know, my legs are still working, which is a gift, even though they feel like they're not. It's very quiet because it's so early in the morning. But I turn the phone on to I'm very jealous of this car. I'm very envious of it. Not envious. I want to be the car. I mean, I'm envious of the person who owns the car. But, you know, I wouldn't mind being the car. It looks like it'd probably be quite a fun car to be. Yeah, I switched the phone on to see when sunrise, or, you know, whatever. Still believing this bullshit about this infrared light and UV light and all this crap. Though I think when I went to see that crazy doctor, I ended up buying some of the expensive seawater that she advised that I buy, because, you know, I couldn't help myself. And then obviously it's like anything, isn't it? I don't actually dare to drink it, even though, you know, it's seawater. It's probably not even seawater, it's probably just some fucking capsules of water with salt that someone's added to it. Yeah, so I switched my phone on to see, and I've kind of missed the window a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. It's getting earlier and earlier, isn't it? That's the thing. I mean, the clocks go forward on Sunday, so it'll be a bit easier again, because right now, I don't know if you can see, it's just kind of pink tinged over there, because it's still not actually sunrise, even though it's like pretty much light now. The sun hasn't actually risen, so, or maybe, you know, in the next few minutes it's rising. But yeah, it's only me out here in the world at the moment. The last one of these videos I made, I figured like you guys were probably fed up with me talking, and I ended up just doing it silently, but I never posted it. I don't know, it seems like, oh look, are they bluebells? No, they're not. I don't know what they are. It's like a little carpet of purple flowers. Yeah, so it's nice. It's nice in here. I think maybe there's just me. It's probably not safe, is it? Not safe walking around the park on my own. It's probably nearly 6 o'clock now. Yeah, I hope I'm going to get back to sleep, but maybe I won't. What I'll do when I get back, still cold on my fingers. I was not going to wear my gloves, and I didn't wear my gloves, and that was potentially a mistake, because it's chilly, it's a little bit misty. Yeah, I don't know what I'm blathering on about. Just the same old, and it's the same old park. Sorry guys, I haven't taken you somewhere new. I was full of enthusiasm when I started doing these videos that I was gonna take you places. And maybe I will. It's just you know, I will take you places. But these weren't even out when I came up here last time, but they've kind of come out and they've sort of given up. Things happen very quick, don't they? It's like, oh look, here's beautiful. Look, they're still perfect. I don't know, there's some poem about like spring being the most violent season. I think it's like an old poem. I didn't want to go this way. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Oh, yes, it kind of is, you know what I mean? Everything like forcing itself into life. But, everything's fighting for the next generation. It's like ultimate nature, isn't it? It's just all on display. It's kind of crazy. All these sounds of the birds just singing, and they're all like wanting to mate with each other, and but yeah, it's just like, look, it's just me. There's not even anybody. There's no dog walkers. It's just me. Because it's early, I guess. When I started doing these videos, one solitary car. I don't know what that bird is that's making that cry. Stop now, obviously. Are the animals? I don't know if any of you have ever watched any of those David Attenborough kind of shows, and they show you at the end how they make them, and you just think, wow. Because animals, they don't just perform on command, do they? They spend like months and years. There we go. I don't know what that bird is making that call. To be fair, I don't know what any of these birds are making these calls. But it's just the one that's more unfamiliar to me. This enormous tree, I just love. Looks like it's sunrise, doesn't it? But it's just a light. Just love these huge trees. Well, I used to really love them. I don't sort of feel it so much anymore. I used to have this certain real affinity for these huge big trees, and when I'd go for walks in the pandemic, I really want to know what that bird is. It sounds kind of exotic. I used to have this affinity for these huge trees, and I forgot what I was saying. I used to like to kind of hug them. There's so many of them here. I can hear a woodpecker, I think. Yeah. I don't feel it. I'm telling you about it, but I don't feel it. It's one of those things, isn't it? Barbara Bell says, "Oh, it'll come back. It'll all come back. Everything, you'll be healed." I don't know. Do you believe that? Look, I wanted to bring you down here to show you this, and it's a bit kind of sad for me because this is. Can you see this? My phone's still in black and white because I have it switched off colour until later in the day. But that bird, it's just like carpets of wild garlic. You can't really smell it this morning, but when years ago now, I used to I used to come out and pick all this wild, not here because I didn't live here, but I used to come out and pick all this wild garlic and make it into pesto. Look at it, it's just carpets of it. I feel like I should come out and pick some, really. It's just seas of it, really, seas of garlic. It's not like the kind of, it's not, I don't know if you have it, but it's not like the bulbs of garlic. it's just that the leaves, they taste of garlic. And I'd really like to live in one of these houses. I was thinking the other day, I haven't brought you guys down here before, I don't think. Look, these houses are all back onto the park. Not that I've shown you the other ones that back onto the Grimm Park. But I don't think I've shown you these ones. But yeah, anyway, you know, you can pick this garlic before it gets too big, and you can make stuff with it, soup. You can make, what I used to make with it was I used to make pesto. But yeah, I mean, it's been nearly 3 months now that I've been doing this carnivore diet. Look, someone's lost their hat. Can you see? I can't see if it, yes, there we go. Wonder if they'll come back and fetch it. But yeah, look, it looks so nice. I can remember going to a party in one of these houses. I think, do you know what? I think it was this one. Like, so one thing some of you will not know about me is that oh God, we're talking like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I trained as what's called a theatre clown. I went through a whole, what's going wrong with my life? What am I doing? Unlike some of you who've just been moseying along quite fine until this happened, I hadn't really. And I've had lots of kind of breakdowns. They just didn't end up with me taking benzos. But you know, they tended to end up with me trying to sort my life out through something like trying to train to be an actor, which I did, try and train to be an actor, but you know, I could never really look at this tree. It's just sort of majestic, isn't it? They all are really. Even the like dead ones are still majestic. Yeah, so they're growing a kind of coppice of new trees here, little baby ones. I'll go up there in a minute. Yeah, I was telling you about this party or whatever, but yeah, I trained to. I went to acting school, and I wasn't very good, and you know, and I was also like looking back on it now, I guess. I wonder if I'll be one of those people who, when I get to do my Angie Peacock video, and that's what I try to imagine sometimes when I'm like, oh yes, write a healing story. You know, I was just anxious all the time, and that doesn't make it very easy for like acting, especially. Yeah, you know, I mean, being kind of anxious is fine, but you've got to be able to, I don't know, you've got to be able to inhabit other characters and stuff. But anyway, part of that is that I just got really obsessed with this kind of theatre called physical theatre, and I went, and then I got into doing something called theatre clowning, and I just kind of got really obsessed by it. And like, again, I wasn't very good. I was going on all of these like trainings, and you know, you can't imagine it now. It's like so physically fit, and yeah. The long story short of this is that like I did a show, and one of the people, because I was still living in London, but the show was in a theatre in the next city along to this called Derby, and these flats, I used to do heroin in these flats, but they didn't look like this then. They've all been clad, and they've made them look kind of fancy, but they weren't fancy. I used to know a girl called Fran was a heroin addict, and so was I. And this is when I was sort of 18, 17, and Fran lived in one of these flats. I wonder what happened to Fran. I bet she got clean and ended up having like 3 kids, and I hope so. I mean, I always kind of fantasize that people just kind of sorted themselves out and did a lot better than me. But it's pretty. This should be hedgerow. This. But I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she's still a heroin addict. I doubt it. She was quite wealthy. Well, she's from quite a wealthy family. She's a bit older than me. I think she was at university, and I wasn't. But yeah, she used to live in one of these flats, and she had rats that used to, like pet rats that used to run around. Can't remember much more than that because we were just doing heroin, basically. But anyway, I'm going all over the place today, aren't I? Theatre, clowning, just feel like one day I'd like to look back on my life and be like, Jesus, probably till I got to like 50, it was a total disaster, even though, God, wet feet again. I think I had wet feet last time I did this last video. I want to finally get to a point one day in my life where I'm not just like, yes, and then I lurch to this disaster and that disaster. I mean, I suppose it's all about how you frame it. But I don't know what the learning is, or whether I really ever get the learning. It feels a bit sad that you're not getting to enjoy the silence of the park because I'm talking. But look at this, what's this? What's the point of this? Yeah, it was that. I don't know if you could see it. It's like, what is that? I suppose it's a step, isn't it? You're supposed to step up and down on it. That's what it is. I see. Yeah, am I ever going to get to a point? Because I didn't think it would be like, 50, where I'd still be, like I listen to like Seth or Sean, and they feel old, right? Like, or maybe, like life's been chaotic or whatever, but I just think, oh my God, and they're only 34, they're just babies. And I'm still going at this, being a bloody, just disaster after disaster. What's that about? But yeah, I think, at that party back at that house, because it was one of the other cast members, I think I just got really, really pissed. Because I think, one of the things about being on SSRIs, maybe it's just me, but like, I've never shown you this. Look, there's one other person. The train sculpture. Oh, yeah, there's one dog walker now. I can see somebody else. Just a few people. Just the world's waking up. I wish I was still asleep. I'm going to be tired. Don't feel tired right now. I think, just can't really handle alcohol. Although I had one of these genetic tests done in the beginning of all of this when I didn't know what was going on. I had all these genetic tests done and paid all these thousands of pounds of things that you desperately like, what is this? Why am I like this? What's going on? What's happening? And I come on, we'll go down here and I'll show you the train sculpture, because we've never walked that way, because I always walk back the other way, don't I? But yeah, anyway, couldn't really handle alcohol, so I just got really smashed, and I think we had a big falling out, because I don't know anyone in this city, as you know, although I have sort of tentatively made these friends, but they're all having kind of quite a fun life, really. They're 40s, 50s women, so right age group for me, but they're not coming off benzos or in sight drug withdrawal, so they can go to the pub and have a pint, and I just feel like these friendships, these sort of tentative friendships, will just inevitably end, because sooner or later I have to bail. I have to be, I've just become a massive flake. Just looking at this patch of daffodils. I'm guessing you have daffodils. They're kind of ubiquitous, aren't they? Not everywhere in the world. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it's a sort of really magical time, isn't it? This sort of early morning. I wish, look at these, I love these ones. They've kind of got these bright orange centres. They're very, what's the word? Very something. They're very everyday daffodils, or they're not. They're very everyday in the spring, and they're everywhere. But then they just kind of come, and they're amazing, really. They look like these kind of crazy trumpets. But you can buy like a bunch for £1 in the supermarket. I mean, I don't know where they cultivate them. But so they're quite commonplace, but they're just quite amazing, really. Yeah, look, everything's budding. All the trees. You see the baby leaves coming out. Yeah, I feel like I've been all over the place, haven't I? Clowning, heroin addiction, which I seem to not be able to say properly. I keep saying heroin. Yeah. But yeah, I sort of keep saying, I feel like most people have like sorted themselves out before they get to like 50. I remember turning 40 and being like, yes, this is it, finally, this whole life begins at 40 thing, and this is going to be my decade, and I'm gonna, I had big plans. I was going to have a baby. I know it's quite late, but I was going to have a baby, and I think I thought, well, I should probably be off my SSRI to do that, but I didn't really do that properly, and then COVID, and look, here's the train sculpture. So I guess there was a train track that used to run all through here. Anyway, that's it. That's the train sculpture. They've got like a funny sign: keep the crossing clear. Well, there isn't a crossing because there's no actual train. I feel like this has been much darker than I expected. I guess the musings of the inside of my head. So life didn't really begin at, well, something began, in my 40s. Something began and it wasn't good, hasn't been good, because I'm 47 in May, so that's the majority of my 40s, isn't it? And the majority of my 40s have been spent in sight drug withdrawal and injury. So I don't know, I I hesitate to say that life's going to begin at 50 because I don't know, I'd like it to begin at some point. Or maybe it's just about acknowledging that it is what it is, and maybe I'll just always be chaotic. And you've never noticed these houses, it's sort of like the white house and the black house with the windows, they're sort of matching, aren't they? Very, very fancy. Looking over the park, I think I'd prefer one of those other ones that aren't really fancy, but yeah, they're kind of in that quieter spot. This is noisy on the road. But yeah, we don't normally walk this way because I don't. Partly because it's slightly up a hill and I'm unfit. It's quite nice. I don't know, is it graffiti? Is it something intentional? I mean, obviously it's intentional. This tree looks like it's got a little bum. I guess what you guys would call a butt. Little bum tree. I don't know. Is it wrong to want that? To want that period of life where everything's just not chaotic? Because it feels like it's been that for a long time, since I was probably, since puberty probably. It just feels like it's just been chaos with some calm bits in the middle. Yeah, that's a long time to go, isn't it? 15 or so when I started taking an antidepressant, and it was probably before that, just things have just been chaos, and it's very tiring living your life in that way. Although, at the same time, I guess, I've done some really, really cool stuff, like training to be a clown. But, it all just kind of gets abandoned in the chaos. Something goes wrong and then that's it. I mean, ironically, in some ways this is potentially the least chaotic time of my life. I just love, I've shown you this before, but I just love the colour of this, all the colours on this tree. It's raining now. It's raining. I don't know what to do when I get back. Shall I go back to bed? It must be about 6:15, I guess, now. So we're going to go back the way we came. Yeah, this I mean, this just feels like the ultimate chaos in a way, like this, plus living in this flat in Nottingham above, that belongs to my parents, and I'm nearly 50. It just feels, it feels mortifying when I think about it like that, and then I think, well, considering what you've been through, baby, look, these baby daffodils, they're so cute. I just feel like, well, I don't know. This is what's happened, and you've got to make the best of it. What's the choice? Do you give up and say, okay, it's all hopeless? Or do I try to, make something different from my life that isn't. I don't know. It's not like I've ever had some big plan because I've always just been too chaotic. But I suppose there's been points where I've had these dreams. Like when I was doing the clowning, I had all these dreams to go to Paris and train. There's a clown school there called Gaulier, and I was really obsessed with the idea of going to Gaulier. But it's like I don't know, there's always been this part of me that's too frightened to do these things, too frightened to take these risks, and I, wanting things. I don't know if I've ever showed you this house. It's quite unusual for here, there are all these, most of the houses just like, these boxes with peaked roofs. What was I saying? I guess that's it, like the fear of something going wrong. That's why I was not really a very good clown or an actor, because, you've got to be unafraid. You've got to be unafraid of things going wrong, really, and just allow things to fuck up and just be okay about that. But, I've never, there's always been this huge part of me inside that is just not willing to let that happen, and so you don't do anything because you don't ever just take that risk. And I guess, in a funny way, or that's also why I didn't have a baby, because I was too scared, and the chance passed me by, and then this happened, and then funnily, ironically, I guess that's why I ended up doing the cold turkey of the SSRIs, because I was just so chaotic in a way, even though I was like working and doing whatever, it's like still, nobody told me, and I wasn't getting enough support for anyone to sort of sit down and be like, hey, you're really chaotic, shall we help you? You might have some kind of ADHD or something, nobody tells you that stuff. So or maybe you've just been on these crazy drugs for so long that they've messed up your brain, or God knows, but whatever, like whatever it is, that's been the result. And I didn't know any better really, or even if I did, I couldn't figure out how you made a taper plan, and a lot of that is what has held me back. I say, oh yeah, I've been holding for a year, and that has really benefited me. It has, because I do think I've stabilised somewhat. I do think I have, but maybe it would have been better if I was a year down the road. But it's like I'm still in the same position where it's like I don't really, even though I paid all these freaking coaches and this person and that person, I still don't really know how to taper. I don't really know how to do it, and I get these whims, like being a clown or whatever, and then I don't really know how to carry it forward. And it feels the same with the taper. It's just like it's something that demands discipline, and it's something that demands taking risks, and it's something that demands sort of everything being a bit messy. Wow, it's really starting to rain. I like it. It feels fresh. It just feels like that, like how do I do it? I sort of feel like I just really want I guess it's of course it all goes back to my relationship with my mother, but yes, it does, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? My mum, she's a lovely person, but she wasn't probably the best mum, and she wasn't really very good at sensing my needs, or helping me, holding my hand with things, really, maybe sometimes she held my hand too much and sometimes not enough. It was all a bit inconsistent, and I think I still struggle with that myself, really, like collapsing into being kind of powerless and wanting somebody else to sort of help me, and then also kind of being this sort of rampantly independent person, but I can't really do the things, dear, should put my hood up, but it's probably too wet. I find this garden really depressing, apart from this bit where things are just growing, but I just find this sort of, it's just so, that is just your absolute quintessential English suburban house with a big square of grass and just some plants just planted, it's just it's not wild, it's not messy. So I guess my preference is for the messy, and my life's been really messy. So I wish it had been more joyfully messy rather than kind of anxiously messy. This feels quite anxiously messy. I don't know. Just sort of, it's not that either. It's just, that just feels like a bit of a mess. So I don't know what it is I'm looking for exactly. Looking for something. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I guess I'm always trying to do this for Susie, my sister, aren't I? You know what I mean? Like, be the big sister, help her with getting off these drugs and doing this, and but she doesn't always want it, and I guess really I want it. It's me. I want the big sistering. I want somebody to take me by the hand and say, it's okay. I always feel a bit sorry for birds, like this sad pigeon. It's like raining and they have anywhere to go, but I guess they probably don't experience it like we do, I hope they don't anyway. Yeah, so I don't know, that was a lot on that walk. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to sleep after all of that. If I wasn't on benzos and stuff, I guess I'd probably be able to mull all this over a bit more, but I'll just forget. But maybe one of you guys will remind me someday what I've been chattering about. But yeah, it would be nice to have somebody to hold my hand, and it doesn't mean they can take the suffering away, does it? But it's just some of the planning and organisation that I find so difficult, and none of these bloody coaches seem prepared to do it. They take your money and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry." They don't actually go, "Okay, right, let's sit down and do a taper plan." Let's hold your hand through this. Yeah, so this is my new car. It's very boring. I didn't buy it at the car auction. And you know what? It's just another fucking impulsive thing to do, because since I bought the car, which is not that long ago, just maybe over a week, I just have felt so shit. I just think, why the fuck have you bought a car? You can't drive. But it was like something that got stuck in my head 6 months ago, and now I couldn't get rid of it. But I spent all my money on this car. Silly. So I hope it's not another one of those things where it's just, well, it probably will be, just another thing that I've bought that like costs loads of money, and there's the cat. And I end up just not using. Anyway, I'm going to open the curtains and then I'm going to let you go. Here we go. Yeah. I'm not going to show you the inside of my room because it's a mess. But I'll see you soon. Maybe this heralds a new chapter of walking this beautiful tree. All right, bye.